college football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byars Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio. He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just failed.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. The phone number to call with any of your questions, comments, or concerns is 937-518-1410. One more time, 937-518-1410. You can hit me on Twitter. Also at KAB41 is my Twitter handle. You can listen to it on the internet also. That's 1410ESPN.com. Well. What a week. Another week of football. You know, we look forward to our weekends of high school football, Saturday the Buckeyes, Sunday the Browns and the Bengals. And I always talk about the Ohio teams. You know, the three big ones, of course, Ohio State being the biggest of the three. That's including the Bengals and the Browns. And not Ohio has great football on every level, not high school, college, and pro. And the MAC conference is basically majority of Ohio students, so those teams are included. But I always talk about the big three. I get a lot of my attention. I like to go 3-0 on the weekends. And we've had some 3-0 weekends, but this weekend we went 1-3. My Buckeyes took care of business on Saturday night. And the Bengals and the Browns, oh my gosh. Who would have thought it was going to be 0-2? But, you know, the Bengals played the Jets and the Browns played the Steelers. Oh, we'll get into that, later on. We'll get into that in a little bit. But let's talk about Saturday. The Buckeyes. Well, don't forget, I got to get into my top 10 rankings also. That's released. I just put it on social media. It's on my website. My Twitter account. You can go there and find it on my Facebook page. But Saturday night, the Buckeyes played host to the Nittany Lions. It was a Scarlet the Stadium. I guess you don't say red out because they say white out. And when you go to Penn State, they had a big whiteout, and so the Buckeyes usually always had to face that when they're on the road at Penn State. So we wanted to turn the table on them and give them not a red out, but a Scarlet the Stadium. So it was theater beauty to watch, on television, but I didn't watch it on television. Hey, yours truly was there. I was there in person and contributing to the Scarlet the Stadium theme. I had on my Scarlet, but it was also a special night for me, not only because the Buckeyes won, which is always special, but I had my on-field salute. You hear it in the promo, Keith Byars College Football Hall of Fame, and just take a couple moments to just thank you all for supporting me through the years. I got inducted into the Hall of Fame in March of 2020, but because of the pandemic last year, and we're still trying to stomp that out this year, everything got pushed back, a year. So the ceremony itself will be in December the 7th. It's on a Tuesday in Las Vegas. And part of your induction and the thing, they have an on-field salute to you at your home stadium. And mine was this past Saturday night. And the Buckeye Nation, did me well. I have to continue to, thank him, because Buckeye Nation encompasses a whole lot, not just the fans at the stadium. It's the fans across the country and across the world. You can't go anywhere without Ohio State alumni being there. So it felt good to be on the field, another time, with 100,000 people, giving you an ovation. That's something that's very emotional, very overwhelming. And it was it felt very good. So thank you, to Buckeye Nation. And of course, I have to thank, everyone. And I'm not about to give an acceptance speech or anything like that right now, but, I can't forget everybody who contributed to my success. My faith in God, number one. My parents, Reggie and Margaret Byars, they were the inspirations, throughout my career. No matter what sport I was doing, I knew I always had at least two people that were going to be in the stands cheering for me. Whether I was at first day in Little League, whether I playing, basketball league in summertime, in the winter times on those Saturday mornings, I was in 6th and 7th grade, 5th, 6th and 7th grade, all those kind of games, whatever sporting event I was involved in, my parents were there and my siblings, were always there. So being on that field Saturday night, it felt like old times. I don't, that's my home, the Ohio Stadium, that's, I had a lot of good days in that place and it feels home. And, I haven't scored a touchdown on Ohio State in how many years? 36 years, 35 years, whatever. 30. It's been a long time, but it doesn't matter. Whenever I step on that field and step into the stadium, the chills on my arms, the adrenaline rush takes over again. So when I doffed my hat to the stadium, to the fans and, all four sections, 360 degrees, when I looked over there in the parent section, behind the players' bench or the family sits, I know spiritually, I felt my parents. I could just see them, what role that they set in, and your eyes just automatically drift. Certain things are just second nature. Every touchdown I scored in Ohio Stadium, when I'm jogging back to the sideline, your eyes drift to your mother and father in your section. They sitting there cheering for you. So I kind of felt that. I hadn't felt that in a long time. But, sitting there on the field, the rest of those memories, came back to me all over again. And so it truly never goes away. And so it's a two-way street. It's not about me. It's about everyone. So when you go to those games, whether it's at Ohio Stadium, whether it's your local high school field, and you're cheering for your loved one or somebody, whether they're your family member or not, it makes a difference. It makes a difference, in that, person's life, who you're cheering for, whether it's at a basketball game, baseball game, soccer, whatever the sport, the support and the family support and the friend support for that athlete. It's amazing the things that you do, so I have to, just take that time out just to thank, my family, my friends, too many to mention. And my friends know who they are, because you're my friend, we know, so who you are, my coaches, had been blessed my whole career as an athlete to have great coaches. And my high school football coach here in Dayton, Ohio, Tom Montgomery, we all call him Groundhog. Great coach to have, great coach. And I'm not just saying that about myself, but he coached a whole lot of great players. And whether you was a, Division I athlete or non-athlete, knew you wasn't going to play any more football, you enjoyed playing for Coach Montgomery, not just because of the lessons he taught you on the football field, where he taught way more lessons off the football field that would go a long way. So I thank my high school coach, Tom Montgomery. And of course, I had to thank Earl Bruce, God rest his soul. He was my head coach at Ohio State. And he surrounded me with great coaches as well. Earl Bruce was a great leader, a great man. And I, loved him, loved playing for him. And, we became, even closer friends, after my career at Ohio State. We did radio together in Columbus for about 5 years. And I look forward to those football Saturdays, spending time with Earl Bruce. And so he was a, great mentor of mine. So I know this is not an acceptance speech, but I had to take some time out to mention a few names, that'll come more in December. But one thing that my father always taught me, and great lesson that always went with me, and he said, give me my flowers when I can smell them. Tell people that, how good they are to you now. Don't, so one thing to talk behind somebody's back, how good they are, but tell them to their face and appreciate it. And so I always try to do that, just to say thanks and mean it, from the bottom of my heart, instead of like, I'll tell you later. Just take the moment and thank those who have come along. And this is not the first time those close to me heard me say it, but I have to, continually say that. And those who aren't as close to me, you mean something to me as well, because when I get different stories about some way I may have impacted your life and vice versa, I mean, it's a lot of times just the little things. So I just want to start to show up with that. So I want to thank you, Buckeye Nation, once again for supporting me, throughout my career, and, my teammates at Ohio State. They gave me some calls and well wishes, but I tell them, and I always say, the greatest lesson that Earl Bruce taught us is football is the greatest team sport. You don't do it alone. Nobody can have individual success without their teammates, without the person to the left and the right of them. So we all, will go into the Hall of Fame. Yes, my name will be the name on there, but trust and believe, whether you played offense, defense, special teams with me, we won it all as a team. And so it's an individual award, but in hindsight, it's a team award. So all my teammates that played at Ohio State with me from 82 to 85, and those, brotherhood that was there at Ohio State well before me, and those who have come after me, we all share a piece of that Hall of Fame, induction ceremony and a piece of it. And, I couldn't have been more thrilled on Saturday night, to receive that plaque with one of my childhood heroes, my first Buckeye hero, and that was Archie Griffin. And so, I said, Archie, you just don't know how much, this means to me, because I admired you, loved you, and someone I call my friend, to hand me that plaque. And I have something that you have as well. He's a Hall of Famer, and now I'm a Hall of Famer along with him. And he'll always be my friend and mentor and like a big brother to me. Archie Griffin, the great Archie Griffin. Okay, that part of the show's over with. Now let's talk about the Buckeyes. Buckeyes, it wasn't pretty, which it was just, it wasn't ugly. They won ugly. Well, it just wasn't pretty. I wouldn't call it ugly. 33-24, nice win over the Penn State. Have one of the best defenses in the country. Yes, they didn't show up against Illinois and gave up 300 yards rushing. That was an anomaly, as we can see later on. They gave Ohio State everything they wanted, and I knew Penn State was going to be a tough game. But nonetheless, the Buckeyes, prevailed. Our sixth time our defense has scored on defense this year. 6 times, 6 games, they have scored on defense. I mean, our defense has been maligned, and rightfully so, but you got to give them credit when credit is due. And the defense is one of the major reasons why we won that game Saturday night. They did, yes, they gave a lot of yards passing, but they made them one-dimensional. They stopped the run. They took Noah Cain and Lovett out of the game. They had 33 yards between those two major ball carriers. Sean Clifford didn't have he had negative yardage. They had sacks on the quarterback, interceptions. You got to teach Brown where the end zone is. You can get a good interception. You don't run east to west. You go north-south. But that's just nitpicking right now. But it felt good, for the Buckeyes to get that victory. They're one step closer to your goal. They behind the 8 ball when you lose the second game of the season to Oregon, and there's no room for error. They know if they want to be one of the Final Four teams and want to win a national championship, the way this college football season is shaping up, a 2-loss team is going to be tough to get there. So Ohio State controls their destiny if they just win out. Just win. Like Al Davis from the Oakland Raiders. Just win, baby. Just win. So that's why I said they're taking one step closer by getting that W on Saturday. And things are going to be real clear in the next month. The next 4 games by this time is November 1. December 1 is 4 weeks away. We won't have all the answers on that date, but we're going to have a much clearer path on who's going and who's got an opportunity and who doesn't. And Ohio State has that opportunity right now, to do that. And I'm about to tell you my top 10. But before I tell you that everybody's played 8 games. And, so I'm trying to get the best top 10 in there. And so by default, it'll be the best 4 will go to the playoffs if it ended today. Good news, it doesn't end today. So don't get into a bunch when I go over, this top 10 list, because it's today. not in January when they actually play, whatever the first day is, December 31st or whenever. It's not that day. It's not. It's the College Football Selection Committee. They're going to release their top 10. Was it top 25 tomorrow, Justin? Who cares about top 25? All we care about is top 4. Tomorrow. That's just the start. It's not the finish. So without further ado, these are my top 10 teams in college football through 9 weeks of the season. I'm gonna go over real quick, and then I'm gonna tell you why. So number 10 is 7-1 Notre Dame. Number 9 is 8-0 Wake Forest. Number 7, 7-1 Oregon. Number 6, 8-0 Oklahoma. The 5th rated team in the country is 7-1 Alabama. 4th rated team, 8-0 Michigan State. 3rd, 7-1 Ohio State. 2, 8-0 Cincinnati. 1, 8-0 Georgia. So how did I get to this spot? I know you're going to hear a lot. You've already heard a lot, even starting yesterday afternoon when AP and the coaches poll come out. They have their opinions and they have their rights. And, I get that. I give them respect. But you got to respect me, too. And, I'll give it to you. You got to give it, you give me my same degree of respect. But with a caveat, I played this game. And I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to be braggadocious, but if this was a medical situation, we're going to defer to the doctor in the room who went to medical school, been in an operating room, and everything else. And he's going to tell you what the patient needs. And we all sit back, have an opinion on it, but there's only that opinion is going to hold the most weight, especially when he's got the pedigree to back it up. So I had a better pedigree to back mine up. You guys can accuse me all you want of being biased or a hater, whatever, lingo you come up with. But at the end of all that, when the smoke clears, like my friends tell you, I'm hard, but I'm fair. I'm hard, but I'm fair on this. So now, after 8 games, it's not just about whether you got a 1 in the loss column or a 0 in a loss column or 2 or 3 in a loss column. It's the best teams. And, in college football is not professional football. Don't compare the two. Professional football, there's been quite a few, more than a fair share, of wild card winners winning the Super Bowl, as opposed to the number 1 seed in the NFL playoffs winning the Super Bowl. That happens in the NFL, but it doesn't happen as much as you think it happens. It really doesn't happen as much as you think it happens. So once the pros get to the playoffs, it's fair game. College football is not fair game like that. The system is somewhat rigged against, everyone. If we had a true college football playoffs where whatever that magic number is, everybody bounces around between 4, 6, 8, 12, whatever that magic number is, even right now we have 4. And I don't have numbers in front of me, Justin, but how many times has the number 1 seed won the national championship? It's been, 6 college football playoffs, I think it is. And how many times has the number 1 seed won? Maybe 3 times or 2 times?
I think Alabama and Clemson are the only 2 that have won it as
LSU.
the 1 seed. Oh, no, you're right, LSU. And it wasn't Clemson. Clemson's never been the 1 seed. It's always been Alabama whenever they've made it in that.
So Alabama's probably won it twice and LSU once. Mm-hmm. But Alabama hasn't won it as a number 1 seed. Last year they was number 1 seed. Other time they won it, they wasn't the number 1. When they beat Georgia, they wasn't the number 1 seed.
Yeah, because that was the year it was between them and Ohio State when you almost threw a chair.
Yes,
through the sports bar we were at. Yep. Just saying. I remember that.
I do. So it's not always about that. So right now, after 8, I see the body of work. You've played 8 games. I know how good you are, and you still have the potential to be better. And some people are going to max out. And so that's how I got to. So number 10, Notre Dame, they snuck in the top 10. But what are the chances of them being in the Final Four? I don't know if enough can happen for Notre Dame. So they're almost at their ceiling, being number 10 on my list. They might can eventually get to 6, but I don't know. But that's why I'm not prejudging them. I'm just talking about after 8 games, through week 9, because everybody's had some bye weeks. That's where Notre Dame is. They're number 9. 8-0 Wake Forest. That's one teams I'm talking about. Yes, they have a 0 in the W in the L column, and if they win out, will they make the college football playoffs at 13-0 ACC champion? I don't know that answer today, but I don't want to get, open up that can of worms just yet. But they got a long way to go, and like I said, between this now November 1 and December 1, the picture is going to get a lot clearer. And Wake Forest is one of those programs. I don't remember in my lifetime have they been 8-0. But they're 8-0 right now. They still have some more games on their schedule coming up. They still have to play Clemson, who isn't much this year, but nevertheless, it's not over for Wake Forest. So they're 8-0. They make and climb. Michigan, 7-1. Michigan, I'm telling you what they feel. They feel they're in the same position as Ohio State. If they went out, but they need a little help. If they went out, they kind of control their destiny. But they need help, though. So it's not quite the same as Ohio State. They have to beat Ohio State and hope somebody else, and hope Ohio State or whomever upsets Michigan State along the way. So they would have a path to it. And even at one loss, they lose a tiebreaker to Michigan State. So they don't totally control their destiny. They need to do some scoreboard watching. So, but Michigan, you got to give them credit. Hey, that was probably the best game overall on Saturday for me. Michigan State. That was a heck of a game. So Michigan had to slide down in the rankings. I had them 6 last week. This week they're 8. Number 7, Oregon. Oregon had their best complete game, of the season, if you ask me, when they whooped up on Colorado. But that same Colorado team took A&M, to deep in the fourth quarter. Texas A&M, deep in the fourth quarter. Just give you some idea. Colorado's not no totally slouch. So that was a nice win for Oregon. Number 6, another undefeated team, Oklahoma. Yes, they finally had somewhat of a convincing win, this past Saturday. But I said, just because you got a 0 don't necessarily mean you got it. Do you think Oklahoma would be able to tackle C.J. Walker, the running back from Michigan State? That'd be tough to beat them. It'd be tough to beat them today. But that's why Oklahoma's number 6 on my list. And number 5 is Alabama. Last week I slid Michigan State down because they had a bye week. And same thing, the same rule has to apply. Alabama was 4th in my list last week. They had a bye, and no fault of theirs. This is when the scheduled bye was. Other teams played better. So Alabama, you went from 4 to 5. Not the end of the world, but you can control your destination too. Your destiny's all in your hands. Just go out there and win. You'll be in the Final Four. But today, at the week 9, Alabama, you got to slide down. You're not going to get no brownie points because you didn't play. Not your fault, but we penalized Michigan State the previous week when they didn't play. Same rule applies. You get anything about it, you got a lot of football to play. Number 4, Sparty. Yeah, Michigan State, they played extremely well, and I think Mel Tucker used to be an assistant coach at Ohio State. I know Mel pretty good, and Mel is the right man for the right job. And he wouldn't let those guys quit. They are believing in Michigan State. They said, we're going to take you into the deep end. And they had every opportunity Saturday to just say, okay, this is not our day. But, that's leadership and it's great coaching and made those guys keep believing in themselves. And they overcame and whipped Michigan. I know they had a hometown crowd. That helped. But the players on the field, they did work. Then I got to reward that. That kind of effort coming down for, double digits in the second half. Oh, and it felt like they stuck their foot in the ground and said, okay, here it is, the middle to late of the third quarter. We got to go now, or it's either now or never. Our season's on the line. We got to beat, and they stepped up and made play after play. Got 2 major 4th downs. Whew, one of them for a touchdown. You got those guts, and that's leadership. So Michigan State, hey, good on you. You look good. So that's why you're 4th in the country. Ohio State remained the same at 3. You can't knock Ohio State because they didn't The Penn State isn't that good all of a sudden. No, they've lost 3 in a row. They lost to Iowa. They had a bye week. Then they lose to Illinois, and then they go to Ohio State and lose. Hey, that's when the eye test comes into play. You can see with Penn State, Sean Clifford, a healthy Sean Clifford, can do. Hey, the kid made some big time throws, and they stepped up. Not enough. Ohio State is that much talented, and Ohio State only has 1 or 2 games on their schedule where it comes down to it's not how they play, it's how we play, and that's the fact. So when Ohio State lost to Oregon, it wasn't how Oregon played, it was how we played. We didn't play up to our ability. Penn State and Michigan are probably about the only 2 games left on our schedule overall. It's how we play, but not even Michigan anymore. The only reason I mention Michigan is because of the rivalry aspect. So Ohio State is very talented all over. And if Penn State would have brought their A game, which they did, and Ohio State brings their A game to the game on Saturday night, which they did not, it favors Penn State. But Ohio State at least brought a B-plus game. They didn't have their A game, but it was a solid B. Probably not B-plus. It was a solid B effort, which was still good enough to overcome Penn State. Penn State's probably still about another recruiting class or so away of being able to compete with Ohio State across the board because, talent and hard work just overtook. Both teams work hard. Both of them are prepared. And the difference was the talent factor on Ohio State's roster as opposed to the talent factor on Penn State's roster. Otherwise, Penn State would have won. Now if Ohio State would have slipped a little bit, Penn State would have won. But Ohio State stepped up just enough to, not going to say eke out a victory, but get the victory, the win. And so these last 2 teams, Cincinnati, right now, you're the number 2 team in the country. But unfortunately for Cincinnati, they need some help to stay there. Because this next month of football, a lot of things are going to happen. And it's going to be hard and it's not, whether it's fair or not fair to Cincinnati, it is what it is. Now at this part of the season, style does matter, and I hate to even use that, style points and winning. But I'm just telling you how these voters think. So here going out, the month of November, Cincinnati's got to step on the pedal. And it's not even fair to them, but they have got to win. They got to average 20 to 25 point wins from here on out to even have somewhat maintain a top 4 ranking. Because on Ohio State's schedule, they still have Michigan State and Michigan and the Big Ten championship. If Ohio State wins all 3 of them, they got to win those first 2 games to be eligible for the 3rd game. A 12-1 Ohio State team, that resume would be stronger than 13-0 Cincinnati team record. I'm just sorry it is. Last but not least, Georgia's number 1 team in the country right now. They've been that way since about week 5, and schedules favors them. Right now, they're not going to be challenged probably anymore until the SEC championship game. And I'm telling you guys right now, the Big Ten from top to bottom is stronger than the SEC from top to bottom. Just because they keep ranking these teams in the SEC when they lose, and they overly punish the Big Ten when they lose. That's another fight for another day, but that burns me like nobody's business. Michigan loses to the number 8 team in the country, and you slide them down like that. And then what's another school? Ole Miss. When they lose, they act like they can't drop them. But so who is Ole Miss as opposed to some of the teams, in the Big Ten have won. Now, a silent assassin in the Big Ten right now is playing a spoiler role is those Badgers out of Wisconsin. They are fighting back, playing their guts out every week. Nobody wants to play them right now. Saving Ohio State, we don't mind playing them. But they are creeping up. They wore out Iowa, took Purdue apart. Those teams, and now the wins that Wisconsin had alone, I'm not saying they're a top 10 team, but they're certainly a top 25 team. Certainly that. But I don't want to get into too much of that right now. In the meantime, I got to go to break. I got to talk some Cleveland Browns. I got to talk some Cincinnati Bengals and talk a little bit more about you. All right, guys, you listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken, right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
If your family depends on your income and something happened to you, what would happen to them? You need life insurance, and SelectQuote can help you get it at a price you can afford.
SelectQuote found Jacob, 40, who's in excellent health, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month.
Not in perfect health? Don't worry.
SelectQuote found Tanya, 40, who has type 2 diabetes, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $32 a month.
We shop companies like Protective, Prudential, American General, and others to find you the company with the best rates. Give your family the security they need at a price you can afford.
For your free quote, call 1-800-507-2266. That's 1-800-507-2266. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-507-2266.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at selectquote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors for 35 years. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. You can meet with an InventHelp representative who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. And InventHelp's databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to review new ideas.
Call 800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380.
You know when you order a new video game, or a golf club, or a blender, and then it arrives at your door, you get a little thrill. Imagine how much more thrilling it is when you order a new car. With Nissan at home, you can shop for the perfect ride and order it without ever having to go anywhere. Sure beats a golf club or a blender. Buy a new car entirely online with Nissan at home. Delivered direct from dealer to driveway. Thrill starts here. Services may vary at participating dealers, subject to applicable law. See dealer for details.
Gathering your family around the dinner table for a home-style meal from Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken is the perfect way to end a fall day. At Lee's, home-style happens here with our 12-piece family meal for only $32.99. You'll get 12 mixed pieces of Lee's fresh, never-frozen Famous Recipe Chicken that's honey-dipped, hand-breaded, and pressure-cooked to perfection, served up with 3 large sides and 6 fluffy biscuits. Get a home-style meal made easy with Lee's 12-piece family meal for only $32.99. Only at Lee's, famous for chicken.
With Early Paycheck, you can get your direct deposit up to 2 days earlier. That's another reason banking with Capital One is the easiest decision ever. Even easier than deciding to open the biggest birthday gift first.
Happy birthday to you.
Which one are you going to open first?
The pony.
Yep, even easier than that. Plus, with no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, is banking with Capital One even a decision? That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. No fees or minimums on new consumer accounts. Capital One and a member FDIC.
Lowe's Provember event is back, and we're thanking pros like you all month long with buy one, get one free deals on select DeWalt power tools and top values like a Spider 2-pack of 4.5-inch diamond cutoff wheels for $14.98. Join us for Provember, going on now through November 24th. Shop in-store or at Lowes.com/Provember. Lowe's, the new home for pros. While supplies last, U.S. only, valid 10/28 through 11/24.
For the ones who are always in the know.
Delivery confirmed.
For the ones who keep things running. For the innovators and the problem solvers. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, experienced staff at local branches, and free access to experts to help answer your toughest questions. So whatever challenge you face, we have the knowledge and products to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Fansville, a college football utopia. Fansville. Where the lakes are stocked with ice-cold Dr. Pepper, and the autumn winds rustle with the sweet smell of football glory. And Dr. Pepper. It's a land flowing with onion dip, where even the food pyramid is shaped like a hot dog. Where every yard gained is a yard worth celebrating, and every celebration is beyond excessive. With ice-cold Dr. Pepper. Return to glory this season with Fansville by Dr. Pepper. Grab some today.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Hey, Buckeye fans, as the official wing sponsor of your Ohio State Buckeyes, Roosters is giving away 12 trips for 2 to this year's Buckeye Bowl game. Each trip comes complete with airfare, hotel, gift bag, and 2 tickets to the big game. One bowl prize winner chosen each week, along with other cool Roosters weekly prizes. So register every week at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Official contest rules at roosterswings.com.
Hi, this is Paul Keels, voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Keep your home comfort system running smoothly and efficiently with regular checkups from Butler Heating and Air Conditioning. Butler has been proudly serving the Miami Valley since 1949. Don't wait until your equipment breaks. Call Butler today at 937-253-8871. That's 937-253-8871. Go Butler and go Bucks.
Today on Hey Culligan's Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener, here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
Oh, according to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter. 82% of you will note that if you're hiring, ZipRecruiter finds qualified people for your job. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And 82% of you will remember that you can try ZipRecruiter for free, but you have to go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Yes, free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The soothing scent of Vicks Vapor Rub. It's only one of the most iconic smells ever. That cooling, comforting scent generations of families have come to trust to help them feel better. And now you trust to soothe your family. Pick up some Vicks Vapor Rub in the little blue jar and wrap yourself with the calm only Vicks Vapor Rub can bring. Vicks Vapor Rub, always there for you.
Hi, welcome to Furniture Depot. And you, come on in.
Couches are flying off the floor at Cheyenne's Furniture Store.
Sarah, can you go over to dining sets, please?
She needs more sales associates before shoppers take their seats elsewhere.
Can somebody get me a price check on trundle beds?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Instant Match instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
From city streets to back roads, from road warrior to carpooler, there are some things you can always count on, like the reliability, durability, and power of DieHard, America's most trusted auto battery. No matter where your journey takes you, count on DieHard to get you started on the road ahead. Available at your local Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest stores.
Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year, worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my 3rd year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
This is Keith Byars, and I played in the National Football League for 13 years. As a proud Daytonian, I've got an important message for you guys out there, especially you gentlemen over 40 years old. Know your stats. As a professional athlete, I focused on my numbers every day. Now I focus on my most important stats: blood pressure, sugar, cholesterol, and PSA levels. In the end, those are the numbers that really count. So if you don't know your numbers, now is the time to find out. See your doctor regularly to stay on top of your game, because no matter your age, every day and every number counts.
This message is brought to you by Molina Healthcare and Community Health Centers of Greater Dayton. If you do not have a primary health provider, call Community Health Centers of Greater Dayton at 937-461-6869 or visit communityhealthdayton.org.
Be at Dodger Stadium Thursday, August 19th through Sunday the 22nd as the Dodgers host the Mets for a 4-game series. Stay after the game on Friday to enjoy Friday night fireworks presented by Q-Cells, or for kids run the bases on Sunday to close out the series. Score your tickets at Dodgers.com/tickets.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
He's a former Buckeyes great and now a college football Hall of Famer. And don't forget about his 13 years of NFL experience playing for the Eagles, Dolphins, Jets, and the New England Patriots.
Watch for the great block by Keith Byars on Pepper Johnson. Bam! Right there. Byars just nailed it.
He's Dayton's own Keith Byars. It's the Keith Byars Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken on Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes, 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome back. You listen to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken. Phone number is 937-518-1410. I know it's lunchtime, so there's a Lee's nearby. I just had some on the break, fourth and profession. So, hey, this one, stop by and get something to eat and listen to some good radio, and you go back into work and you tell your friends, why your favorite team won or lost a game, and you have a little more ammunition in your pocket. So, speaking of which, man, I was sitting there during a break and even talking to my producer, but even over all last night, I was trying to come up with an answer. Which loss in Ohio was worse? Was the Cleveland Browns losing to the Jets, or the Cleveland Browns losing to the Steelers, or the Cincinnati Bengals losing to the Jets? They both hurt. You've heard me on this show say many a times, guys, winning in the National Football League is hard. It's hard. Don't take it for granted. Every week when your team wins, be thankful. Be like, yes. Don't go to, well, man, we should have blew them out. We should have beat them by this, that, and the other. Hey, it is hard. Imagine if you're a Colt fan. What was your emotions doing yesterday in that game? Carson Wentz throws a pick six at the end of the game, and then boom, he comes up, make a big play, get a pass interference penalty, force overtime, and then you lose it with another interception in overtime. That's why we love NFL football. So many things going on. But to answer to my original question, which loss hurt more? I don't know. I still don't know. But I would have to say, by a razor, just a hair of my chinny chin, probably the Bengal loss hurt more. Even though and Cincinnati Bengals fans have in the back of their mind, Man, we knew it was a little too good to be true. Be number one team in the AFC at this point, and don't worry about that. Just 1 week at a hot time. Keep your head down and grind. And so here we are. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns for a second. Let's stay on the Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals. You had a chance, I hate them, to get to the halfway point, the season. I know it's 17 games now, but 8 games into the season, you could have been 6-2. Now you're 5-3. Not the end of the world. It's certainly better than 3-5. A whole lot better than 2-6. But that's what I always say: play them in 4-game increments. So okay, we played 4 games and then 4 games. So after 8 games, 5-3 is better than 500. And this season is shaping up to be a humdinger of a season. I don't know. I think I still say the magic number, to get into the playoffs with some surety is 10. So the quickest you can get to 10 games, you assure yourself a spot at the table. Now you want to win 11 and 12 to try to get that one, try to be that number 1 seed, so you can get that bye week. Because there's only one bye, and it's not too early to start thinking about it. Now, it's the month of November. It starts with the end. Now, November, now you start your playoffs, with seeding. Right now, it's November. You want to assure yourself in the playoffs. Now you want to assure a good seat in the playoffs, because all games matter in the National Football League. All games matter. Look at the Bengals. They're 5-3. And I know it hurts losing yesterday. It hurts bad. But look, you kind of hate to play the woulda, shoulda, coulda game, but that's it happens. And like my ex-coach used to say, we are what our record says we are. How soon the Bengals forget, that game, the first game of the season, they beat Minnesota. They get a late fumble out of Dalvin Cook, when they was driving for the game, winning field goal. Yeah, you pulled that one out. But, hey, nevertheless, guys, 10 is the magic number. You win 10 games, and the Bengals are halfway there. They got 5 wins. You go get that 5 as quickly as possible, and then you add to it. Because once with the Bengals don't want to be where Michigan is right now, hoping for the scoreboard. You don't want to get to the month of December scoreboard watching. Well, how'd they do? No, all we got to worry about is our game. Because I had to do that a few times in my career, saying, "Oh, we need help." Man, let's go win. I hate to be in a position to need help, because it usually doesn't come. Not for me. It never came when we needed this team to lose and that one to win. And no, take care of your own business in your own backyard. Bengals, you control your destiny. Just go out there and win. Now, for the next 4 games, you want to be no worse than 3-1. You want to be, closer to that 10 number. You go 3-1 in the month of November, you're going to be hit going into December and like, oh yeah, now let's continue to get my spot. Because, like I said, all games matter. And I'm not just talking to the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm talking to the Cleveland Browns, too. Cleveland, every year is a new year. And for years, Pittsburgh have had your number. Last year, y'all got mad and did something about it. You beat them 2 out of 3. And you have to protect this house. You got to protect your home. You got to. You let Pittsburgh come in here yesterday, and no kicker. Y'all knocked the kicker out the game, and you played good enough to win, but you didn't win. But you also played good enough to lose. You have to, and it comes back to the little things. Why do I always say the little things? Simple fact: 75% of the games on Sundays in the pros, Sunday and Monday, Thursday, Sunday and Monday, are decided by 7 points or less. The little things get you beat, and the little things win you ball games. The Browns lost 15-10 yesterday. Pittsburgh goes on 4th and goal at the 2.5, 3-yard line. It comes down to making a play. You got to make a play, whether that means you got to get a sack, you got to get a defense ball, you got to make a tackle. You have to make those plays. And Pittsburgh made it. Cleveland did not. That's why they won. And speaking of making plays, it's hard. There's a time and a place where thing. You can't fumble the ball, Jarvis Landry, that late in the game. You're just not allowed. Whether that's fair or unfair doesn't matter. You just can't do it. You're driving for, to go ahead drive, to, get points on the board, and you put the ball on the ground. Is it fair? Nobody said anything about fair. This football is not always going to be fair. But you can't do it. Now, I know the trade deadline is coming up in a couple of days. Cleveland Browns, you know who you really need to trade. Everybody's heard the rumors. They need to make it happen. Odell Beckham, you got to trade him. I think you can be a better team without him. Not to mention that Izod alligator arms he had yesterday on that pass. He throws one arm up and afraid to get hit. It's a physical game. The money is on the, I just can't deal with guys that don't go all out every time. You got to make that catch. He slowed down his last couple of steps and then throw a chicken wing up there. And the ball hit his hand. He didn't want to get hit. You get paid all that money to take a hit. Yes, the pass could have been better. But it's a team event. It's a team sport. Everything's not going to always be perfect. Baker put the ball, it was a catchable pass. Could it have been a better pass? Sure. But it wasn't. We'll talk about that on Monday in the film room. But on Sunday afternoon, you got to jump up and make that catch, man. You got to make that catch. And he doesn't make. You want to be great, not just good or average. You have to do those most difficult things. It's called sacrifice. Sometimes you got to give up those ribs, and they're gonna put some barbecue sauce on them. And it hit you. So what? Go get the ball. You win the game. You got to play all out or don't play at all. Well, it's different. You was a lot bigger. I don't care. That's the same rule applies to big, small, and different. It's a high level here. You're playing at the highest level. If the air is too thin for you, then hey, come on back down where you can breathe again. Much is expected out of you. So if I'm the Cleveland Browns, I move him. And Jarvis Landry, he wouldn't be far behind. You need to, surround yourself with guys that are not, and I'm not, trying to come off as I'm dogging those guys. It's not personal. And I'm just talking about what I see. And, and that starts with the head coach. You allow it. And the wide receiver coach, y'all allow it. You have to go up. You have to make difficult plays in this league if you want to win. We needed a rush out of the Browns yesterday. Where was you at, Miles Davis? You could walk in there with the Grim Reaper costume on, the quarterback graveyard. You got to put Big Ben on the ground. If you don't put him on the ground, you have to be disruptive in that backfield to, get him off time. Those things happen. That's why you got to win the big games, because every game in the National Football League is big. You got to figure out ways to win the close game. Everybody can win like the Eagles did yesterday, 44-6. Those games don't normally happen. But more to talk about in the future. We'll be back next week, same time, and we will, get into it. Hopefully your team wins, and watch the trading deadline. Oh, last but certainly not least, watch the World Series tonight. I want to see a Game 7. We got Game 6 coming up. Watch it. Get out and do random acts of kindness for your fellow man. Give it to the Keith Byars Radio Show, presented by Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken.
WYNG 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio.
Vehicles helping veterans in need. Learn more at keystoprogress.com. It is Overreaction Monday with you. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776 on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. We were going to get to your calls and overreactions in a moment. But Bart, I got a little factoid for you. Dallas Cowboys, they win last night over Minnesota with Cooper Rush, not Dak Prescott, as their quarterback. The Cowboys are now 7-1. So you are looking at them now, and I heard you say this on Organized Chaos, that they are a contender.
Yeah.
You have now anointed them because you were hesitant for a little while, but you are now anointing them at 7-1 as a contender.
A contender. Can they go through the gauntlet?
Let me ask you, can they get to the NFC Championship game? Not the Super Bowl. Can they get to the NFC Championship game? If you look at them right now against the NFC, can you see them in that game in January?
They can get there.
They can get there.
They can get there, but, it's going to be like how they're going to get there. Are they going to get there with a shootout? You think about Randy Gregory. Eventually, Lawrence is going to come back, and Parsons, that put him back into his natural position as inside linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
Diggs has been, I think Diggs is coming back to earth a little bit, because I think he has a lot about splashy plays, but he gives up a lot of big plays as well.
Okay.
And Jefferson, was doing this thing.
They go on the road, and they're, it wasn't an offensive great show until that very last drive by Rush. Other than that, the first half wasn't anything spectacular. They go on the road and they play a tough defensive game.
Yeah.
Against a team like Minnesota. I mean, Minnesota need that game.
The thing is, if they match up against Arizona, say in round 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd say, okay, well, Arizona can't stop the run. And Zeke is eating, Pollard's eating, that offensive line is eating without no J.J. Watt.
Right.
So, I mean, Arizona's been a team that's been all in, going for J.J. Watt, going for A.J. Green. But now they're also a team that needs to get some big bodies in the middle. So they got to, recognize themselves, hey, we got to shore this run defense up because teams are starting to really exploit us that way. So do they go out and try and see who's available so they can put there? Yeah. So everybody, that's the beauty of the season. Tomorrow. Everybody has flaws.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, I want to ask this question. So the Cowboys are one of 3 NFC teams that have not made it to the championship game, the NFC championship game, since at least 1996. Can you name the other 2?
They hadn't made it at least to an NFC championship?
Yeah, the Cowboys they're one of 3. There's 3 teams in the NFC haven't been to the NFC championship game since at least 96. And the question is, can you name the other 2? So I'll leave it out there for you to do that.
I can figure that out. I mean,
well, you can figure it out. I'm just asking you to name the other 2.
Oh, we know it's the Lions.
Well, there's one.
Yes.
I mean,
duh.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
They ain't did nothing.
The other one is sort of easy, but not that easy. All right, we'll take some questions here. We'll get into some other overreactions. 888 ESPN. Well, you nailed it. There you go. You got him. That was pretty good by you. I like that. Well, speaking of the Lions, let's go to Brandon. Let's go to Alaska. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, man, good. How you guys doing?
All right, we're great.
So, listen, I know our defense is the worst probably ever, but the offense yesterday looked terrible. I mean, do you guys see us winning a game? I think, we have Denver, Atlanta, and Chicago on Thanksgiving. Can we win any of those games, or are we going to be the first to go 0-17?
Bart, what do you think?
Talking about the Detroit Lions?
The Detroit Lions. And the one game I thought if they were going to get one, this might have been the game. And then they got smoked. It wasn't even close.
They got the brakes
speed off them. So can you tell Brandon in Alaska if this is going to be the first 0-17 football team in history?
What do you mean? They the first 0-16 team. Yeah, they went 0-16, so why not own both records, right? You got Dan Orlovsky running out the back of the end zone. Remember the dude said he was going to walk home if they lost 16 and they lost. Listen, I'm laughing with you to try not from crying, because if you don't realize this, I'm from Detroit as well. So listen, I'm not rooting for them to lose, but man, I thought this was the one. Yeah, maybe the Bears, maybe if they run into the Bears late in the season, man, but it looks kind of tough, man. Man, I'm just going to go ahead.
They're going to go 0-17.
I'm going to hedge the bet, man.
All right, well, Sean in Michigan, I don't know how you react to that, Sean.
I was just gonna ask you. You need to get Bart worked up more often. He's a funny man.
We do our best every day. Get him all fired up with CMOS.
Oh yeah, but with the Lions, it's the same old stuff every year, and I'm just wondering if maybe Bart or you can give me I'm a diehard fan, but man, for them guys to play the way they did, with the respectful 35,000 people on Ford Field.
Yeah.
Always. And then to have all them guys go down to the end zone at the end of the game and sit around there and hand each other swap jerseys and all that stuff. I mean, it just lit me up. I mean, how did?
Yeah,
I know.
Sean, that's what it is,
that's
man.
What you guys.
Yeah, I know that's what you want to hear. And Sean, here's the thing. And Bart, I'm going to put it to you because Dan Campbell, in his opening press conference, talked about a team that was going to be scrappy, tough, biting kneecaps, all that stuff, right? A real emotional guy after they lost that heartbreaker on the doink.
Yeah.
Just like they look like a team that was going to fight and fight and fight. And then you play a team like the Eagles that you said, you know what? If they're going to get one, here's your game.
Yeah.
And so they've played some good teams tough. Then they play this team at home.
Yeah.
Is that letting go of the rope for you? Do you get to a point, and I know you've never really been around teams like this, but do you get to a point do you see teams that at this point in the season, they're like, man, we're never going to win. And you just let go of the rope because that was a shocking final score. And there's a lot of great games on yesterday. This isn't certainly one to talk about, but the fact that the Eagles put up 44 points at the Lions, at Detroit, for a team that Dan Campbell said was going to be a hardworking, fight you kind of team. That's a shocking result.
Single year, the Lions ruin my dad's Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah. Every year he says the cranberry sauce is bitter, the gravy is kind of lumpy. It just drives me crazy, man. And I just don't know when it stops. When did it hit bottom? You thought they hit bottom before, and Matthew Stafford always gave him a chance, but now they got Jared Goff. Now they have Jared Goff.
He hasn't won a game.
And has
he lost 10 straight starts or something like that? I know it's something like that.
And so you look at the schedule, man. You say maybe the Falcons, but the Falcons don't seem so bad, right? You say, you go to Denver, maybe Denver.
What?
Or maybe Chicago. They have the Steelers. They have the AFC North. So they got the Steelers, the Browns, the Bengals. Bruh.
Listen, man, this is how significant giving up. They lost 44-6 at home to an Eagles team that hasn't cracked the 40-point mark. This is what Jalen Hurts, all right, as your quarterback. They haven't scored over 40 points in 58 straight games. You know the last time the Eagles scored 40 points in a game? Can you even guess? It's been 58 games. So if you could guess the last time they scored over 40 points in a game.
Was it the Shady McCoy game against the Lions in the snow?
It was not.
Oh.
And we have a guess. I heard somebody in my ear, but I didn't know who it was.
Was it the Super Bowl?
That is correct.
See, you know what?
Special.
You know what? Philly fans in the house.
41. That's right. 41-33.
Against Tom Brady. Listen, you talk about.
Are you kidding me?
You talking about teams that are going to be sellers. Yo, a lot of people out there would love to have Fletcher Cox. You talk about Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stop that run? Go ahead and get Fletcher Cox.
So you start stacking it. Again, a team like this,
you got to go all in. Fletcher Cox has been around for a while.
With that in mind, let me ask you this now. Another overreaction. The Patriots and them winning in LA. A lot of Pats fans, by the way, in SoFi. And it was loud there. You go in there, Mac Jones and all, and you beat the Chargers. And the Chargers have now been a little bit of a skid lately. And they're, I believe, 4-4, right? Did they even up? Just double check. The Patriots.
Yeah, they're 4-4.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they are 4-4.
The door's open.
And they're right there on the edge now of being a playoff team. Overreaction Monday. Pats are going to make the playoffs.
Man, I'm hoping not, because listen, I have Cleveland. They look like they're going to cooperate with my vision, and I'm looking at the Patriots, and they look like they may not. Look like Mac and Cheese was pushing the ball down the field a little bit more yesterday.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Chargers may not be as real as we thought they were.
Right.
As you get false positives a lot of times early in seasons trying to figure everything out. Now this is the Blood Bowl coming up, because you have Sam Darnold coming off a concussion. I don't know.
You don't know if you have Sam Darnold.
I don't know if Christian McCaffrey's coming back, but Stephon Gilmore wants him get back. Right. Mm-hmm. And he had an interception in his first game. He knows his offense.
Yep.
He knows the personnel.
Yep.
And they're going to be out for blood. They have tremendous receivers. It's going to be, can this defense that was considered one of the best defenses in the league at the beginning of the season, can they come back to form? And can whoever's playing quarterback find a way not to get Robbie Anderson killed? I mean, I think that, Robbie Anderson was excited to have Sam Darnold because the chemistry they had. That throw he threw to him and got him dejected. You know how hard you got to get hit in your chest to have a concussion? Sam Darnold did that to you.
Unbelievable.
Sam Darnold did that to you.
That's unbelievable.
And I wonder if they can figure it out. So who knows? But then you have the Browns who's going to be desperate at week 10.
Yeah.
And now it seems like this is why you always play the games. Because that Tennessee game doesn't seem so scary anymore.
All of a sudden.
It doesn't all of a sudden.
Again, waiting to hear a final word.
It's when you play them.
Reports are Derrick Henry could be out for the season.
Yeah, so I mean,
the
you
foot
look at
injury
it,
that he suffered in the
they still have
game
the Bills twice.
yesterday.
So, I think the margin for error is 7. You have a shot if you only lose 7 games this year.
It's amazing. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776.
Just be 10-6.
Another team with injury concerns. Jameis Winston also going out yesterday, out on crutches. Sean Payton talking about how concerned he is for Jameis Winston. Again, we don't know the severity yet, but definitely sounds like they might be looking for a quarterback. Walter's in New Orleans on the Saints. Walter.
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing?
How you guys doing?
Good.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, man. Look, big fan of you guys first and foremost. Secondly, born and raised in New Orleans, huge Saints fan. And when I saw Winston go down, I was at a little Halloween party and I even cheers to my buddies. And I was like, hey, man, game's over. But Simeon comes in and just does what he does. It looks like they just, run right into what they do in practice, still kind of put the game away. And the defense obviously stood up and was just huge. And, man, it's just like, even as a Saints fan, being skeptical, it seems like Sean Payton has just figured it out year after year, regardless of who has to step in and play quarterback. So, obviously, I know we're not going to make a deep playoff run or get to the Super Bowl with Simeon. But, man, it's good to be a Saints fan, and it's good to have Sean Payton at the helm. And I wanted to see what you guys thought about, just the adjustment and everything that was made, and just see what y'all.
We were talking about it earlier, Walter. Right, Bart? You're saying that Taysom Hill was competing for the starting job, but you kind of like that element of your offense.
He's their Brad Smith. He's their Brad Smith. We used to have Brad Smith. For everybody out there that don't know, we had a guy that was unheralded
with the Jets.
When we went to the AFC Championship games. It was Brad Smith, and he was our Wildcat guy. Played quarterback at Missouri, but he was also a guy that returned kicks on kickoff as well. He took a couple to the house. It was pivotal, returns for us. He was great on special teams, and he was our gadget guy. He had a couple 90-yard runs just simply because he was a threat to throw, but he was such a great runner, and he was great in a niche position. Mm-hmm. That's what Taysom Hill is. So, I mean, remember as well, maybe you can get away with Taysom Hill, and maybe he deserves the opportunity to be the best option if he's healthy, and you have to find somebody else that can do the Wildcat stuff for him. But eventually you're going to get Michael Thomas back. And when Michael Thomas comes back, remember who Michael Thomas is.
He's the best wide receiver in the game.
Yeah, 2019, the man had 1,700 yards receiving. That's why he became the highest paid. I know everybody wants to talk about DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams, but remember, that's because this guy's been away from the game for a little betterment of a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah. All right. So we'll see what happens in New Orleans. Meanwhile, the Colts made a move for a quarterback, an aggressive one, and Carson Wentz has had great moments, and then he's had what the hell are you doing moments. And if you're in Philly, you are just saying keep playing him. Because that draft pick, that goes to number 1, right?
Yeah, they're not going to do that. If the Colts are out, I guarantee you they sit him and give up a 2. They ain't going to give up no 1.
Painful loss for the Colts yesterday, an absolute painful one. And really, if you think about it, this is on the arm of Carson Wentz, the decision-making for him. He can make the spectacular, and then he can make the dumbfounded, including throwing lefty out of his end zone, which turned into an utter disaster. And Frank Reich had to talk about it after the game.
Yeah, that was 100% my fault. It was a bad call. It was a screen to Mo, and they were sitting right on it. We hadn't thrown that. Didn't think they would ever be thinking that at that point in the game. I've been around too long to know that you don't call a screen backed up in that situation. I told Carson right after that play. He came over the sideline and said, that's 100% my fault. That's a terrible play call. Now just go make it right. Go make it right. And I told the offensive line the same thing. Guys, I screwed that up. I screwed it up. That's on me. But they did. They went down. We went down. We scored and tied it up. But the problem was that drive could have been to win the game, not just to tie it up and go into overtime. So that's the problem.
They lose 34-31. Do you buy that? It's a bad play call?
Nah, it
can't all be on the – that's what I'm saying.
Switch
the
hands.
minute this is getting blown up, you got to – anything but left-handed throw into the defense.
Bro, get it intentional. Throw it on the ground. Intentional ground and give up 2 points,
You're in the
not
end zone,
7.
though. You're in the end zone.
Give up 2, not 7.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, I got you.
Like sometimes when there's nothing else you can do, don't do the worst case scenario. Left hand. Like how much confidence did he have falling back with his left hand? The thing went like 3 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, bro. Throw the ball on the ground. Get it.
That was rough.
Sometimes you got to give up. I'd rather give up 2 than 7.
Yeah, no, that man, to watch that play, absolutely rough. All right, 888-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Of course, Bart, I got to ask you about Zach Wilson. Not playing in this game because of injury. Mike White, who's been in the league for a couple of years but has never started a game, made his first appearance last week when Zach Wilson got injured. Starts this week against the Bengals, a Bengals team that was number 1 that we're like, here come the Cincinnati Bengals.
Haven't given up more than 25 points all year. Only team that had done it.
And Mike White comes into the game and not only throws for 400 yards, and then leads a drive at the end of the game to win it for the Jets. The Jets beating the Bengals, and Mike White suddenly becoming like Linsanity, if you remember that here in New York, right? And everyone's just now going, like, not only who is Mike White, but we need more of Mike White. And that's Thursday. He will start against the Titans.
Flacco's
against the Colts, I'm sorry, on Thursday night.
Hey, I came here and they said.
Yeah, Flacco's on the sideline just with a uniform. No, not even a uniform. The earpiece in, not going to need you. But here's the thing. Here's the overreaction. This is a bigger issue. Like, this is more about Zach Wilson and less about Mike White.
Yeah.
And that is the concern for the Jets. Am I crazy to look at it that way?
I mean, when you think about Zach Wilson, this is just what the doctor ordered. Listen, this guy comes in. Yeah, he's not a rookie, but he's still on his rookie deal. He's still young, right? And he comes in and he moves the offense up and down the field. And how did he do it? He didn't do it by hitting and swinging for home runs. He did it by hitting base hits and singles and doubles. And you look at what happened, right? Michael Carter all of a sudden looks like a Ahmad Bradshaw, like a little alligator. Dude can't get knocked down easy. He just keeps falling forward. He gives you 77 yards rushing, but then he gives you 95 yards receiving. That's 160 that just your running back, Michael Carter, was responsible for. Then Ty Johnson gives you another 75. That's 160 yards of offense and then some, just strictly from passing, 160 yards passing, strictly from your running back position. I would like to think if 160 is from your running backs, that was a pretty safe throw.
Yeah.
Right? And you talk about the one he wants to have back. He didn't wait for Michael Carter to come through and clear the offensive line. Hit him on the head and bounced up. And listen, with three turnovers, you still found yourself in a way to win the game.
That's why it wasn't like as if he came in and he was just prolific. He wasn't perfect. He was 11 for 11. Then the 12th throw went just a little off mark,
in the first
and
half.
It got tipped and picked off.
And it just shows you, right, what happens when you give this defense that we were kind of saying, is this a good defense? We start saying that because
CJ Mosley back makes such a difference.
But they were so tired. Remember, this was a team that hadn't scored in the first quarter, so that means 3 and outs.
Right.
That defense was tired, but this defense was fresh. And oh my God, we saw a 2020 draft productivity when you think about what Mims was able to do. 30 yards. And those 30 yards would have been a lot longer if, it wasn't a holding call from Elijah Moore. He would have had 3 for like 50, which is he has tremendous totals. Like, why he's not getting more involved. Corey Davis, you're not forcing the ball to him because he's not available. Elijah Moore is now being used more as a weapon, giving him sweeps and seeing what he can do by